So I was like, I can't stop his pawns, and I've lost games, like, and I've won games by being able to push my minority of pawns. This was one of the most toughest games I've had in a long time. This is round 3 of the Myerstown Winter Swiss, and I'm playing against Jacob. I played him for the first time less than a month ago, and that was a very tough game in and of itself. I was up a pawn, but then I blundered it back, but I ended up winning in the end game after a really hard fought game, and this game was no different here. This is a no engine recap. I'm going to check the engine at the end of this video, and with that being said, let's hop right into it. So Jacob, just like in the first game he played against me, he played d4. So this is my second time having black against him, and he plays the Queen's Gambit, and I decline. So I play the Queen's Gambit, decline, and he brings both knights out, and I play a6 once again. So I'm playing the exact same thing as I did last time we played. Last game Jacob played, he played bishop f4, and I was able to take this pawn and hold on to it. This game, I guess Jacob must have reviewed his opening, and he exchanges pawns, which is one of the main ways to play against a6 on move 4. That's one of the main ways to play, to exchange into d5, and then put your dark square bishop out. But the position is still totally fine for black. It's not like, I blundered or anything. He brings his bishop out. I bring my bishop out. We trade. He moves his pawn up to open up and develop his other bishop. I develop my bishop first. And now we have a bishop-less middle game. So already with 2 pairs of minor pieces traded and a position as solid as this for both sides, we're going to see a much slower game. I castle, he castles, and I develop my last minor piece here, and I'm controlling e5. I might, who knows, I might rotate my knight to b6 and c4, or maybe e4. There's this knight, who knows where it's going to go in the future, but it's definitely a good square. I don't want to play knight c6, blocking in my own c pawn. I want to leave the c pawn to either attack the center or help defend the center. Okay. He puts his rook on the half-open file. Makes a lot of sense. I put my rook on the half-open file. So far, we have both been playing super fast. I think we both probably only spent 2 or 3 minutes here. It's game in 40, delay 5. So we each have 40 minutes, and it's relatively quick for a classical rated tournament. And time becomes a huge factor in this game. I am a very slow player. And he was playing very fast. But at this point, we're both moving fast, and we're both making very sensible moves. He puts his other rook on d1. And one of the things you have to keep in mind is, like, what are white's plans to make progress, and what is black's plans to make progress here. I find these positions where one side has the minority on the queen side and the other side has the majority, I always find it easier to play for the side that has the minority. I play the Caro-Kann a lot, and in that I get this exact same structure as black, and I find it very easy to start flinging your queenside pawns and start creating weaknesses on the queen side, and it's like the Caro-Kann exchange variation, I guess, specifically. So what white probably wants to do, they want to either expand on the queen side or expand on the king side and eventually do a pawn break in the center. Although if they ever do move this pawn to e4 and force a pawn trade, then this pawn on d4 will be isolated and potentially weak. So maybe, like, for example, if he played rook fe1 and I played c6, he could consider e4 in this case. He's sending a fork, and after I take, he has more space in the center and more activity. Might go knight g5, might go knight e5, might put his bishop or his rook here. But this is probably fine. It is probably okay for black. Anyways, well, he puts his rooks out like this. And I'm not really sure what the rook on d1 is doing. It's kind of an ominous rook move, but he's just developing a piece and centralizing it, so it makes enough sense to me. I play c6, so I have a rock solid center here, and he plays knight a4. And this is probably my first think of the game, because The knight is not threatening to go to c5 or b6 because I can take it, but I wasn't really sure exactly the best way to proceed. In general, when your opponent puts their knight on the rim, you should probably centralize your own knight. Like, this is definitely not a bad move. But I was thinking to myself, he could play knight c3, and I wasn't sure what to do then. Looking at it now, I think if I did play knight e4 and he put his knight back to c3, I think I could either play f5 or I could play queen b4, attacking b2, and if he takes, this is a fork because defended by the rook. And if he defends like this, I don't know. I can always rotate back to d6 now, and in these queen's gambit decline positions, with this pawn structure, black almost always, the ideal square for the knight is on d6. That's just the ideal square for the knight. It controls a lot of key squares in the queen's gambit. So I think I probably should have played knight e4. I think that would have been the most accurate move. But I would also have to consider what happens if he plays knight d2, attacking my knight. Do I centralize and put my other knight here? Do I play f5, which seems pretty reasonable? Since White's pawn structure is pointing towards the queen side, that will usually suggest that white wants to play on the queen side. And since black's pawn structure is pointing towards the king side, then maybe I should play on the king side. And I can even do a rook lift and start attacking. So if he's too slow on the queen side, I could potentially break through on the king side. But after knight b4, or knight a4, I wasn't really sure, so I just played queen b4. And I thought it was a decent move because, it attacks the knight. If he plays b3, I'm kind of happy. I don't think it's relevant, but like that relevant. But I mean, the squares around his queen side are a bit weak, and he's not going to be able to push his queen side minority that easily. But maybe it doesn't really matter either way. A3 is probably just a fine move. And of course, if he goes back, then that's great for me, except it probably isn't. If he did play knight c3, I don't know. He could just laugh in my face if he played knight c3 and just say, hey, please take my pawn because I'm going to have the open file. So I don't think queen b4 was a good move. Is what I'm trying to say. But I played anyways. He plays queen c2, defending his knight, and now I centralize my knight. So I played the move that I should have started with, but I get there nonetheless. All roads lead to Rome in this case. And he plays knight c5. And already I started to feel a bit uncomfortable. Firstly, my knight on d7 is hanging. So if I don't take him, he's going to take me. And my b pawn isn't hanging, but it's pretty close. And like maybe if I do nothing, like he might be able to kick my queen around. And even here, for example, yeah, like here, now the pawn would be hanging. So that's very uncomfortable. And if I lose this pawn, then if I lose this pawn, then I'm gonna lose this pawn, and then I'm gonna lose this pawn. Like this b pawn is the foundation of my pawn structure, and if I lose it, I'll probably lose the game. So I ended up taking on c5 with my e knight. I wasn't sure which way to take. I forgot why I decided to take with my e knight instead of my d knight. Yeah, I just don't remember. I think I like the option of being able to swing my queen to the king side. I think that's probably why. But in this case, I don't. If I want to do it, I have to do it immediately because I played knight f6 first. But now he plays rook d4, and now my queen's completely cut off from the king side. I have to go queen a5, and I knew this was possible. Like I knew it was possible for him to bring his rook up and attack my queen, but I completely forgot that now I can play b4. And I'm like, oh no, because I'm just making a lot of retreating moves. Like if I go queen a3, stopping his queenside advance, then rook g3, and my queen is trapped. Oh wait, no. He loses the pawn on b4, so he has to go rook b1, and then rook b3, and my queen is trapped. And I was like, or rook b1 and rook d3, either way works. So I was like, I can't stop his pawns, and I've lost games, and I've won games by being able to push my minority of pawns on the queen side. I've won games like this, and I've lost games like this, and I was like, it's very thematic for you to start to do a minority attack in this type of position. That being said, the rook on d4 isn't exactly super well placed. Like, it's not behind the pawn supporting their advance. It's kind of in the center here, potentially subject to attack. It's not so easy for white. Even though I was initially really scared, it's actually not so easy. If I play rook e4 in the game, attacking his rook. If he plays b5, that's a super committal decision. Most likely, I'm not going to take a second time. Although, honestly, I probably could. And the issue is, though, this is sort of drawish now. I have all of these isolated pawns. And if I try to go after this c5 pawn, then, like, you know, if we trade these two pawns, it's probably not a game I can win. But, like, maybe this isolated b pawn is going to be an asset and not a weakness. I don't know. But, yeah, maybe I would take twice. Maybe I wouldn't. I wasn't so sure. If I don't take twice, I mean, at the very least, at the very minimum, I have this nice open A file at the very least. So he can't really push his pawn so easily. But if you imagine if this rook was on b1 instead of d4, then after b4, you know, if I took, then the rook, if it was on b1, it could take. So that's what I mean why this rook on d4 was kind of misplaced. So he can't really fully commit to, you know, pushing all of his pawns on the queen side and trying to win an endgame like that at the very least. And even though I was initially really scared about this position, I started feeling a bit more comfortable because I knew it would be hard for him to push these pawns and hard for him to make progress. Although I think white is still a smidge better here, but it's probably about equal. He puts both of his rooks on the d file, which I was happy to see because once again he's not committing to the queen side at all. Although keeping central control makes a lot of sense too, but I don't know if he really had anything to worry about. Like for example, if he went rook b1 and I took, I mean, after he takes with a knight, I mean, this knight is really good on the square. And even if I go knight e4, and if he tries to get in like this, now his knight and rook are supporting his queen side. And once again, now if I take on b5, now it's really bad. Now he could take with the knight attacking my queen, or he could even take with the rook. Although in this case, I have some back rank stuff. Even now, it's still not super clear though. Although I guess in this case, he wins this. I win the c. Oh, whoops! I win the c5 pawn, and I could take with the queen or the knight because of back rank issues. So, but anyways, I think, you know, doubling your rooks on the d file, not the most thematic way to play, but probably still just fine though. Nothing wrong with it. I play queen e7. And I come up with a really cool idea, and that's to target the c5 pawn with the move a5, as we'll see in the game. So one thing I could do is trade rooks. Like if he plays a move like h3, I might trade rooks here. And if he takes with the rook, I'm going to play knight d7. And I'm going to put preparing a5 to loosen up the c5 square. So that's kind of my plan. I am doing it a bit differently though, because of what he plays. He plays knight g5, forcing my rook to move. So I trade rooks, and then I play h6, and forcing his knight to move. I thought it'd be interesting if he went knight h3. Maybe he didn't like the fact that I have g5, and now his knight is kind of stuck in the corner. So maybe that's why he didn't play it. But if I don't play g5 and play like knight e4, then he has like knight f4. And I can't tell if this knight is good or bad on the square. If I do play g5 now, it's a bit worse because now his knight gets to d3. But at the same time, I guess this rook on d4 is stuck, weirdly enough. So yeah, I thought knight h3 was interesting. It's kind of a hard decision to make because he put a new knight on the edge. Knight f3 makes a lot of sense though, and that's what he played. But now I centralize my knight. And he brings his knight back. I don't remember. I think I'm not sure if I was thinking about knight d7 or how much I was thinking about it here. I think knight d7 is also good because once again I'm targeting c5, but I end up getting there anyways. All roads lead to Rome in this case because he moves his knight back to attack my knight. And if we do trade like this is very, very drawish. Although in this case I still have a5. So I still have stuff to play for, but he could take back with the rook in this case. And now I could probably still play a5, but b5, and what am I doing? This is kind of uncomfortable. Maybe I could take. Oh, but then now the d5 pawn is hanging, so it's really tricky. It's really tricky. So I probably, if I took, he would have taken with the rook, and he has this extra space on the queen side that's really annoying. So instead, after knight d2, I rotate my knight back to g5 with the idea of going to e6, hitting the rook with tempo, and now I'm going to play a5. So I thought it was a very good idea. He plays h3. Not really sure. I think that's just a waiting move. I don't think there was any idea behind it. But I play knight e6, attacking the rook. He goes rook g4. I go a5, and he goes queen c3. And I don't know if he missed that my knight on e6 was defending g7. He might have missed that when he first played rook g4. That's my guess. But now I take on b4, and now I fully feel like I'm going to win this game. I won a pawn. I'm stepping forward. This pawn on a4 is still weak, and I think I'm going to win this game. So he plays queen b2, because of course if he takes, that makes it too easy for me, because I defend my b7 pawn with my knight, and I'm attacking a4. And what are you going to do? If you play a move like knight b3, I think I have the move rook takes a4, because if you take, then I take. And if you take me, now my knight gets out of danger by taking your rook. And I'm just up 2 pawns in a knight endgame, and I'll end up completely winning. So he doesn't take my queen. He plays queen b2. And here, I thought for a while. I think I had about 12 minutes, and I thought down to 7, or I thought down to 6 or 5 minutes. And it's, I wasn't really sure what to do, because I'm going to lose this pawn. And at first, I thought, okay, maybe rook b8, which is what I played in the game, actually. But I was thinking about a lot of different things. I was thinking about, move b5. With the idea that if he takes, then I could go check here and takes. And I thought, I'm attacking the knight and I'm attacking the pawn at the same time, and this has to be good for me. But then I dismissed it because I thought, oh, he can just go king h2. And now this pawn is still hanging. Well, I lost my extra pawn, I should say. I lost my extra pawn, and my rook is hanging, and this does not look that good. He still can't take it because his rook is loose, or he can take it, but then he loses his own rook, which might be okay. But more importantly, I just lost my extra pawn, which seems dumb. And I'm playing rook b8. And he could play it slowly and play a move like, knight f3. That's what I thought he would play. And I would have to slowly unravel. I think I was going to play the move queen e7, so I could put my knight on c5 and then e4 potentially, or just put my knight on c5, pressuring a4, defending b7, freeing my rook to go up to a7. I thought this was a good way to play. But instead of that, he just takes the pawn, which I thought that was not possible because I have a check here after we trade. And initially I thought I would win the knight, but then after he played rook takes b7, I realized that he'd go knight f1. And here I thought for a while as well. I think I misspoke earlier. I think this is where I went down to like 4 minutes or 3 minutes, because I was really trying to make sure it was winning. And I have a and I found a really nice sequence of moves that I think is absolutely winning for me. But I spent a long time calculating it, and that was rook takes queen knight, queen c1 check, knight f1, and d4. That's the key move. So I blissed that I blissed out that sequence of 4 moves. d4, very powerful, and my queen guards my c6 pawn, and I pin the knight here. So if he ignores me, like for example, I calculated like what if he plays e4. I was like, that's completely losing because of d3, and I'm legitimately just going to promote my pawn, and there's like nothing you can do about it. And if you try to push your own pawn, then of course you lose. Actually, I can sacrifice my queen here and then promote to checkmate. So even if you don't push this pawn, but you push your a pawn immediately, I still win, because before you promote with a check, I sacrifice my queen to promote with checkmate. So that's if you ignore me. If you ignore me this way by playing queen a3 or queen a6, so I can't push because you're defending it, but then I can probably just take on d3, or honestly, I might be able to just go queen d1 here to try to get my pawn through. That's also an option, but in this case, maybe king h2, and white is going to step out of the pin and get his knight out. And now if I take, he can go here, which doesn't look that good, or it doesn't look as good. So probably if queen a6, I think I would have gone takes here. And now he has these 2 isolated pawns. And maybe I can go, I don't know what I would go. What would I go? I could push this pawn. Oh wait, now I remember. After d4, if he went queen a3, queen a6, I mean, I think I would have gone c5. That was my idea. And I'm just going to get these pawns rolling. I'm going to play c4 next. Okay, if he doesn't address it, so he has to address it, and he addresses it by taking on d4. I take back with my knight, and now he plays queen a6. So I'm threatening knight e2. I'm threatening knight e2 check, forcing the king away and winning the knight. So he has to defend his knight and defend the e2 square. But now I play queen e1, and now I'm threatening to play knight e2 check and blocking the queen's defense on the knight and winning the knight that way. So he plays g3, and this is an absolute time scramble. Like the rest of this game is from memory, so I don't think I got any of the move orders wrong except for the very end. But yeah, it was absolutely nuts. He plays g3, and his king is so weak. I play knight f3 check. He plays king g2. I play queen e4. And here I was like, oh my gosh, like, how does he defend? How does he defend? He's gonna like, we're both under 5 minutes here. Wait, that's a lie. He has like 15 minutes. I have like 3. And I was like, how's he gonna defend? He plays knight e3 to defend g2, because any other move, like knight d2, for example, I guess I'd probably just take the knight, but I might get close to checkmate here, but I think his king runs out. I guess I don't get checkmate, sadly enough. So yeah, and if he moves his like queen, for example, somewhere like that, then knight e1 check, and this is just checkmate. So knight e3, the only move, I think, and it's not the hardest move to find when it's the only move that saves you. I play knight e1. He plays king g1. I move my knight back. He goes back. Is it a draw? Is it a draw? I say no. I'm going to keep asking questions. It's a bit scary because, like, if I mess it up, I have to be very careful because of this A pawn. This outside pass pawn. Like, if I make 2 lazy moves, this pawn is coming down in A6 and A7 and A8, and I'm going to just lose a game against someone who's over 500 points lower rated than me. So I play knight g5 check. He goes back to h2. So knight g5 attacks h3, so that forced him to only play king h2 as the only possible move. Now I play queen e6, and if he goes h4 to get his pawn out of danger, well, now my queen gets in, and I'm just going to straight up just checkmate. So what's his other option then? He could play g4. I thought this was what he was going to play, but once again, he's making more weaknesses around the king. I don't know exactly how I'm going to win this. Maybe I'm going to go queen e5 check, and after king g2, I don't know. Maybe I'm not supposed to go queen e5 check. Maybe I'm supposed to go, knight f3 check. I'm not super sure what I'm supposed to do, but I could probably just keep checking like this. And I guess if he goes, he can't go back because he'll lose the h pawn. So I think after king g2, queen check. Actually, I win like this. And he could try to defend with queen f1. But maybe I go knight e4, attacking the pawn. And if he pushes this pawn, maybe I can honestly take this pawn. And he can't attack my queen with his knight. And if he pushes again, now I take his knight and defend a7. And if he... I'm trying to think of what he could possibly even do here. If he moves his queen... He can't move his queen to defend his knight because of checkmate. Although it's not checkmate yet. But it's getting pretty close. I'm going to at least win all of his pawns at the bare minimum. And if he moves his knight to like f5, for example, I can go check, attacking his queen, and after he defends... Oh, this is so tricky. Like, I could take, go here, and barely be in time to defend everything. I am not confident in this, though. But honestly, it's probably winning still, most likely. He does have this check, though. But I'm able to move my king out, and I'm still up a pawn. And if he tries to move his king, I can go here. And maybe... Oh, in this case, his knight is very close to getting trapped. But I guess it's not. And this should be winning. Should be winning. Anyways. The point is, I think this position is winning. But he goes back to f1 to defend his pawn like that, which might be the most natural way to defend. But now this a pawn is all alone, and I just decide to cash in. I play queen ace2, and I can't figure out a way to continue the attack. But it was a success. His king is on the edge of the board. His queen is on the back rank. So now I can activate my queen, and there's no way for him to defend this a pawn. If he plays queen a6, then he hangs the f2 pawn, and his knight, it can go here, I guess, but there's no threat. So he can't do any threats. If he plays h4, I can probably... Oh, that's the move he plays in the game, actually. I play knight e4. And now his f pawn is hanging, so he defends it. And now I take on a4, and he activates his queen, but I just bring my knight back. He brings his queen forward. I think he's just playing moves at this point. I think he should definitely avoid letting me trade queens. I'm not sure the best way to do that. I guess he can go king g1, but it doesn't feel good. I'm going to centralize my queen anyways. But he goes queen f5, and I get a queen trade in, and now I just have to win the game from here. But I have very, very low time. I end the game with 2 seconds on the clock. It was very, very stressful. He plays f3. I move my knight back. And this knight on d6 is doing a very good job of controlling this knight's movement. And somewhere around here, I don't remember exactly how the game went. I don't remember. I was too low on time. So it's been a while since I was notating. But basically, we both brought our kings forward. He moved his knight eventually to like knight g4, and I moved mine to knight f5, attacking, and like eventually he like moved his king back, and I like got my king forward, and like I don't know, stuff happened, and like something, I don't know, for some reason I moved my knight at some point, I don't know, and like he was able to check me, and then once my pawn got to like c2, he sacrificed for it, and then I was able to slowly win these pawns, and I won the game from there. So that was really intense. I was really scared. just here, I really should play knight e4. Like, that's just the knight e4 is a very principled move to make, and I just didn't make it. I think I just didn't see the follow-up after knight c3 of the potentially playing f5. Admittedly, f5 is pretty committal. And if I was going to play f5, maybe I should have my rook on f1 and my other rook on e1, and so I can start doing a kingside attack. But I can still do a rook lift here, and that's not bad. So f5 might have been a better way to play. Knight e4 and f5, I mean, because he just wasted 2 moves going back and forth. So it feels like I should be able to take the initiative and start creating play with the move f5 and maybe even f4, loosening up his pawn chain on the king side. But I don't do that. I play in a bit weird way, and here, you know, the position is probably about equal, but I was a little bit scared here. But I'm very proud of myself for keeping calm and coming up with this idea of knight g5 and knight e6 and just winning a pawn this way and keeping calm and realizing that it's okay for me to lose this pawn because I get my queen in and this d4 move. Mwah, chef's kiss. D4 here, chef's kiss. It was a key idea that I was calculating for over 5 minutes on in this position. Like in this position, I was like, okay, like how am I winning? How am I winning? There should be something here, but how, and that the how is d4. So very proud of myself. This is the second game against Jacob where I got super low on time and it was extremely tough. Like here, like I've lost games when I've been low on time in this position because I'm trying too hard. I get too low on time and I make a blunder. So I kept calm in this game. I'm very proud of it, and it was one of the toughest games I've ever played. So I'll leave it there, and I will hit the game review. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, I gotta give my reaction here. Firstly, h6. Why is h6 not the best move here? So h6. So a5 is better. a5, and if b4, I can play rook c8. That's so ominous. The idea is I'm gonna take on c5, and my knight on f6 guards d5 well. So I guess h6 gives him the opportunity to centralize his knight again. And this is all fine. a5 bad, but is a miss. So it's only minus 0.5 here because he can take. And why can I not take? Yeah, I think this is perfectly good for black. I don't know what the engine's saying here. I disagree. I think it's fine. And then here everything's good. Wow. So the reason why it's a draw is because of what happened in the game. So I'm gonna firstly I find that queen d6 is better because if rook takes, then knight c5, and after the rook moves, knight takes a4. So the back rank is still guarded. After queen b4. Queen b4 forces a trade here. And I still have this passed pawn. So this is still completely winning for black. That was the way I needed to transform the position. But instead I played rook b8. And apparently this position is a draw. Queen a5 apparently was needed. I thought about this move. I thought about queen a5. But I wasn't sure which one was better. I thought this one might have been better. d4 is good. And here he defends correctly. So this is a draw. And this is a mistake because of king f1. I just thought I go queen h1 check. But now king e2. And my knight is stuck on the edge of the board here. And I can play g6. But that's not good enough. You can go queen c8 check, king g7, and probably a5. No. Wait, why can't you go a5 here? Knight f3, okay. I don't see the threat though. Oh, this is a threat. Okay, gotcha. Okay. And why is... So this is all good. I figured it out eventually. Queen e2 is the defense. Wow. Queen e2, giving up the pawn with check. That being said, it does not feel like a draw. Yeah, that being said, yeah, I'm still going to rotate my queen back. Queen c6? It wants black to just repeat moves here, which is wild. But this game, the game's not over. The game's not over. Okay. But yeah, I should have thought about queen d6 though. I should have thought about it, but I didn't even think about it. But I think those are the only two moments I want to think about. So, see you guys next one.